Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent Jeannie Steidel of RE/MAX Realty Group based out of Fort Myers, Florida. Jeannie has been licensed since 1982 and joined the RE/MAX Realty Group in 1987. She has accreditations on Graduate Realtor Institute, GRI, Accredited Buyer Representative, ABR, and Certified Distressed Property Expert, CDPE. She received the Hall of Fame and Lifetime Achievement Award from RE/MAX International and the 5-Star Real Agent Award from Gulf Shore Life since 2010. With all that said, Jeannie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today.
All right. Well, Jeannie, if we could start with, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew that you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
Well, my parents were always interested in real estate. I remember my parents owned a rental property when I was in grade school. When they moved to Florida in the late 60s, they bought and sold several vacant lots in Cape Coral, and at one point they owned a small mom-and-pop motel in Naples that they ran for 8 years. They treated real estate kind of like that supplemental income. I'm from a family with 5 children, and my parents were blue-collar, so respectfully that extra additional income that the real estate owning and, the renovations and sometimes even just running the motel gave them that additional income that they needed to support the family of 7.
Excellent. And could you talk a little bit about what personal attributes, traits, or qualities you think have most contributed to your success, and then talk a little bit about how you developed those?
Well, I think my personal success in real estate is related to my ability to problem solve and, in many cases, think outside the box. Unlike a mathematical equation, often there are several solutions to a real estate problem or challenge. I think you always have to expect the unexpected and be flexible. Treat people as you would like to be treated. And again, going forward, just be willing, I think, to continue with that flexibility, whether it's the hours you work or your approach to the problem.
Excellent. And can you give us an example of when your traits have played a role in your path towards success?
Sure. Early in my career, I sold a young couple a home, and I remembered they couldn't get occupancy right away because there was an existing tenant. Meanwhile, I had their existing home under contract, so they had to vacate prior to being able to move into the new home that they had purchased. The wife's mother came up with a partial solution that allowed them to move in with her, but the condo association didn't allow pets, and they had a 6-month-old beagle puppy. They didn't really want to board the puppy for 6 months, so there we go with that flexibility again. My husband and I are dog lovers, and we were partial to beagles, so we babysat that beagle from before Thanksgiving until late December that year. So the puppy became part of our family, and the buyers became lifelong friends. And I think that was one of the pivotal moments that the clarity of you're not just selling a home. It's a whole experience, and it doesn't end after the deed is signed or they write their check to the title company. It's really a lifelong commitment to those people.
Yeah, you may not want to publish that out there too much. We're like, hey, we have dogs. You want to be a dog sitter? But that's great that it shows, like you said, you went the extra mile for them to make sure the transaction went through.
You'd be surprised the things that realtors do. I mean, I've cleaned their home to get it ready. I mean, people that don't understand what clean is and they don't want to hire So no, we do a lot. We do a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
Excellent. And I imagine with all business and with success, there's sometimes there's bumps in the road and there's trials. So could you talk a little bit about some of the major adversities or trials that you've had to overcome in order to have the success that you've had?
Sure. I think one of the more difficult times that most agents experienced, myself included, was in the downturn in our local market from 2007 to 2009 and even a little bit beyond that. Local unemployment was, I think, maybe close to 10% at that time, and Lee County had one of the highest foreclosure rates in the whole country. A lot of sellers needed to sell because they couldn't afford their homes, and they had difficulty making their mortgage payment. At that point, I got the Certified Distressed Property Expert accreditation, and even though prior to that time I was unfamiliar with short sales, I learned how to assist homeowners, who were in foreclosure or close to it at that point. Getting a short sale approved from their lender, again, was life-changing. We were able to keep their credit reasonably high, even after the short sale, and, left people with their dignity. Nobody wanted to have their house actually be foreclosed on.
And I guess, too, like you said, you walked through one of the most, biggest down markets that we've seen in a long time. So what kept you going despite, kind of running up against that? Why didn't you give up?
I think knowing that people needed my help and believing that I could make a difference kept me committed to assisting them. And I had a reasonably and sometimes remarkably high success rate. You just keep going. I think perseverance in many cases will make the difference. You just don't give up.
Excellent. And I guess kind of looking forward a little bit, what is your vision for your career, say, over the next 5 years?
Well, knowing that I've been doing this for more than 30 years, my vision over the next 5 years is to continue what I am currently doing in conjunction with my son, Jason Lipsher, who joined me at RE/MAX 2 years ago. So he'll take on more the day-to-day responsibilities, and we'll continue on as a team.
Excellent. That's always nice to work with your family and to kind of have your son come with you.
Absolutely. We enjoy it. We laugh every day, and that's part of the whole experience as well, because you can't always control, if the loan will get approved or if the roof will leak, but we can control what we do to hopefully have people achieve their real estate goals.
Excellent. And I guess kind of on top of that, what do you feel is the best way that you market yourself as a real estate professional so that you can look at, continual growth? I guess also, from your son's standpoint of him being newer in the business.
I've been very fortunate because I've had decades of sales and pretty consistent throughout the years. So I stay in touch with my past customers. They have been a reliable source of referrals and obviously repeat business. A lot of that is direct mail, but in many cases it is face-to-face. There were many years that I would bake cookies or make cakes and deliver between Thanksgiving and Christmas pretty much nonstop. Now FedEx does a great job of delivering those pumpkin cakes at Thanksgiving, and they know my heart is still there, but unfortunately sometimes there's just not a lot of hours in the day to get all that done. But I stay in touch with those customers, and you see their lives change. They're having babies or they get a job promotion. Then their children, as they grow up, have bought their homes from me. So I'm into that second generation now of selling to my customers' children.
That's great. And I think, too, from a general market standpoint, that sometimes there's misconceptions when it comes to real estate agents of how people view them and how they look at them. What do you think the biggest misconception or myth that people have about working with a real estate agent is?
Well, I don't know, because many times people don't vocalize that, but my thought would be the biggest misconception people have working with an agent is they probably underestimate or don't understand the time that we spend relative to their transaction. I know I typically spend as much or more time preparing for an appointment as I do for that face-to-face time with that customer or client. I always try to be prepared and know as much as you can, so you're bringing value to that transaction for them.
And let's say you get a call from a family member. They're in another state. Example, say they're in New York and they've just had it with the weather. They say, hey, Jeannie, we're going to come down and we want to move down near you in Florida. So they want to sell their home. Obviously, with all your experience, you could probably do a referral and things like that. But in general, what advice would you give them or a friend for selecting an agent that could best serve their needs? Kind of how you make sure you take care of your people. What would you tell them to look for in selecting an agent?
Well, I think longevity in the business obviously is a part of it, but I think the best way to select an agent is to interview them and determine that they are familiar with your neighborhood values and that their style is compatible with yours. We all learn in different ways. Some people want to be contacted by phone. They want that face-to-face. Others just want an email. They want to be texted. They want to do Skype. So I think you really have to find an agent that's going to be compatible with not only, your style, but also to make sure that they have the same goal in mind that you do.
And Jeannie, if somebody wants to get in touch with you and they need a real estate agent, especially in the area that you cover, which is the Fort Myers, Florida area, what is the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
Well, they can always call me. My cell is 239-851-3390, or they can just Google Jeannie Steidel or Jeannie Steidel Real Estate, and there'll be all sorts of pop-ups where they can get my email address and connect and chat with me.
Excellent. And Jeannie, we obviously want to take time to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here and share your real estate experience with all of our listeners. And if you want to learn more about Jeannie, you can, we're going to have all her contact information below this interview. She mentioned our phone number as well as if we have a website or email. We'll put all that information below this interview so that you can learn more about her and see if she can help you with your needs. So with all that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.